Hey everyone, Andrea Fenton here, and I'm an integrative nutrition health coach. I provide dietary counseling and address any concerns related to mental, emotional, and physical health. And today I have licensed mental health therapist Stacy Thiry with me.
Hi.
And we are going to talk about accepting your body.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
Yeah, this is a very important topic because there's so many people out there struggling with either weight or just different physical attributes. We're our own worst critics. So this is always something that on some level or another has affected all of us.
Such an important topic.
Yeah. Yes. So I wanted to help everyone struggling with that right now and hopefully get you feeling more confident throughout your journey, wherever you are in your journey. For me, my journey was I was a very overweight child, and my family just genetically, my family struggled with that. Our weight is something that's struggled. Everyone in my family has struggled with on both sides, and so when I got to be about 18, 19, that's when I really made a commitment to living a healthy lifestyle and watching what I was eating and exercising regularly. And a big part of that too is a couple of my family members had gone through gastric bypass surgery after my dad passed away when I was 13 years old. He was only 41 and overweight, and he died suddenly of a heart attack. So there were all these things leading up to me making this choice. And so I was doing well with that for many years as an adult and living a healthy lifestyle. And then I went through a very, very stressful time where for a while, I knew things were kind of heading towards change. Like my life was going to be changing a lot, and I tried to get more control. So I was restricting my eating more. I was working out more, and I got to be underweight, which for someone who had always been overweight, as a growing up anyway, and just to be underweight at the time, I kind of thought like, oh, wow, like what an accomplishment. I felt this sense of accomplishment. Like who would have thought that someone who grew up struggling with that could be underweight? And I felt like this, but it didn't look good at all. Like looking back on those pictures now, it's like frightening if I ever happened to see that. But then as an ab reaction to that, once things just really, really took a turn and were at the height of stress and everything, I just started eating everything. Like I just was totally out of control. And then I got to be overweight again.
It's like a pendulum that swings.
Yes, right? Yes, because I didn't have the tools to deal with it, to deal with that stress. And because that was something that was so much a part of my life growing up. And genetically, I was just, like I said, predispositioned for that, trying to have control used food, and then being out of control, I went to the food. And everything and then it wasn't until I really dealt with the deep reasons of why things were the way they are and why I'd made some choices that I'd made, that I finally got to a place where things evened out again, and now I've maintained that for many years, and I'm happy to say I've been through that, and I have the tools now, like that I have the confidence that whatever happens, I'm not going to go to any extremes with that again.
So you've developed some coping skills. Okay. Yeah. And that's so important to be able to do, is be able to understand, okay, here are my limits, like you're doing, right? We all have these kind of like two extreme versions of ourselves. We could consider the best and the worst. And we're at any given time sort of swinging back and forth between those two, just emotionally, right? So for you to have, first of all, so much to deal with, right? With what's going on in your family, the loss of your father. I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah. And then dealing with stressors on top of that later in life, and to get to know yourself on that level, like, hey, these are my limits. I'm really proud of you that you've come to that place. And now you're sharing with the world.
Yes. That's one reason I do really want to help people with this, to know that you don't have to be stuck in that place, or you can develop strengths, and you can, get some tools in your toolbox, so to speak, to like really just help yourself maintain a good, healthy weight and healthy mind during whatever life brings, because we never know. So, so that's one reason I wanted you to be here today too, because I know you're just a plethora of information.
I do. I've worked with a lot of clients that share a similar story to what you've shared. And a lot of the struggle is from number one, not really knowing ourselves. Okay, so one of the things that I think is going to be really important and helpful for clients as they're going on this journey themselves is and there's an exercise you can do. It's pretty simple that I recommend to my clients all the time. Every single day, write down one thing you learned about yourself that day. Okay, and that might be something you've kind of always known but never really came to realize, right? Or it might be something that you were like, oh, I'm totally surprised. Whether it's your preferences, whether it's an association of some kind, right? When I smell this food, I think of this memory, because a lot of what we're talking about with coping skills has to do with that, right? What we're looking for sometimes is some self-soothing, or we're looking for some kind of escapism or distraction, or even what we could be planning ahead of time for, which is dopamine for the brain, right? So neurologically speaking, you can plan a menu for dopamine just like we do for food, just like we feed our body fuel, nutrients, right? We can do that for our brain as well. Tell me about how you found balance for yourself.
Well, I really focused on, like, it was hard for me to focus on, oh, I've got to be this weight, or I've got to look like this, or fit into this, because if I noticed when I focused on that too much, that just brought my anxiety way up, like, and especially during like the most stressful time in my adult life so far anyway, where I went from being underweight to overweight, and I just it was like I would wake up with the same amount of panic as if I had woken up and didn't have a limb all of a sudden. Like because I was like thin, or I was fit, and then I got too thin, and then I gained that weight so fast during this stressful time, and I would wake up and just be like, like, it was just, it was very stressful for me to even put any thought. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to even like take a shower. Like I would shower, but I would shower like as quick as possible to not have to be like alone and naked with myself, because I was trying to, like, I didn't want to think about it. So what I would try to think about was, keep the weight loss, those goals, whatever, on the back burner, and just focus on the other things that I knew would make me feel better, like, getting better sleep, doing things to manage my anxiety, feeling sense of accomplishment from, like, feeling stronger with my workouts, or accomplishing a new type of class or routine, just doing that regularly and increasing my confidence from those things. That just made that's just kind of how I coped with that. And then the weight loss and just feeling better overall, just mentally too. The weight loss was a byproduct of that.
Yeah. I think that's so, I love that you mentioned sleep as a priority. Okay. Because there's a new study. I'm not sure if it's been released yet, but it will be soon if not. So you may have heard of it yet already, or if not, what they've actually found when trying to correlate success rates for PhD programs among doctoral students and lifestyle. They measured physical activity, they measured nutrition, and they measured, just by chance, they were able to throw in their sleep monitoring as well. The only thing, it didn't matter what people did for exercise, didn't matter what they did for food or diet. The only thing that really mattered, what was directly linked to their success rate for completing the program, over 70% based on the data points, was sleep, quality and quantity of sleep. So to your point, all you need to do is have one thing to be focused on and feel confident in, to be able to kind of keep pedaling the bicycle forward, right? Getting to know yourself better and taking ownership of who you want to be, instead of what you're describing. It's almost this fearfulness, right? Of things that you don't want. And the thing about psychology is that what we do know is the subconscious mind, the mind can't really conceive of a negative. Okay, so if I say, don't think of a pink elephant, you're going to think of a pink elephant, right? So if we're focused on what we don't want, we're inevitably going to be creating or facilitating that confirmation bias and things like that, right? So what they do know, according to Neuroscience News, that they've recently published, is that if we think a single thought pattern or get on a train of thought pattern for 17 seconds or more, that generates momentum. Okay. And so here's the key. If there's one takeaway for what I bring to this conversation, it's that movement is medicine. Okay. Movement is medicine. Our body is the control panel. It's not the other way around. A lot of times we wait till we feel motivated to move our body, but actually the act of smiling is what creates endorphins to make us feel happy, right? Move the body and then see what happens within.
Those are great. Yeah, that's great tips.
Thanks.
Because you're right. What you focus on grows. So if you're focusing on, like you said, like regular, consistent things that you can feel confident about every day, however small, it doesn't matter. It's just going to build every day as long as you're consistent with it. And yeah, so what you focus on grows. That's why gratitude journals are a great thing to keep. Anything where it's just like a little bit of positivity every day, that's going to grow. And whatever else that you are afraid of or trying to avoid, or gives you anxiety, stresses you have to think about, if you're focusing on these other things that we're talking about, that's only going to improve your mental health and give you the ability to accomplish your goals, right?
Yeah, it's the direction you'll end up there at that destination, right? So if you've ever ridden a motorcycle, I don't know if you've ever been on a motorcycle or driven one, but basically when you're going around a mountainside, they tell you to look through, see through the curve, right? Because if you're looking over here, that bike is gonna go right off.
You go where you look.
Exactly. Right. So these are laws of physics, just like they are for our brain, right? So and look, it's not realistic to expect the anxiety that's surfacing maybe to just disappear and go away.
Right.
You got to be respectful too of your brain for doing its job, which is, oh no, I'm afraid of this thing, right? Just managing that fear. And my recommendation with all of my clients, this is a CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy technique that's very effective. Try to do a thought audit, maybe once a day. Spend 15 minutes just generating some thoughts and jotting them down. Get an idea of what's kind of going on naturally, where you're inclined to go with your thoughts. And then you can start adding some balance, right? So if you're not already using affirmations or something similar to that, right? Listening to songs that are upbeat, but adding that balance. If you spend 5 minutes thinking about the worst case scenario, thinking about what if this terrible thing does happen or I gain the weight back or whatever, but you balance that out with at least the same amount of time thinking, what if the best case scenario comes true? What if it's not even about the way that I look, right? What if it's about the way that I feel? If I spend 5 minutes picking my body apart, and I do this personally, then I also spend 5 minutes expressing gratitude for my arms that allow me to hug my son every time he comes to visit, my hands that prepare food and shake my friends' hands when I see them and things like that. So it's all about adding that balance.
Yeah. And to the point you just said about if you focus too much on how you look, I want to reference something that I saw in a Matthew Hussey video, who's a confidence and relational intelligence coach. I remember something he said in a video, I don't even know how many years ago, that people fall for packages, not quality. So if you're concerned about your appearance because you're, trying to date, or you're concerned for those reasons, being around people, it's a package, not a quality. No one quality can sustain a relationship or hold someone's interest. Like if you look attractive, great, but that's not going to sustain anything. If you're funny, great, but if that's it, if that's the one quality that is attractive about you and you're not loyal or you're not reliable or what, all these different things, like it's no one thing is the end all be all, like that's the only important thing. So that's just something to keep in mind. And there's always, everyone has different preferences, different, there's somebody for everyone. So don't be too focused on the appearance. And of course, I do want everyone to feel their most healthy, confident self and empowered self. But yeah, just always keep that in mind, to not put too much emphasis on one thing, and focus on all of these other areas that we're talking about today, to help you feel that way, to feel more empowered and feel more confident.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that your inherent value is not directly related to the desirability level that maybe other people see in you based on your physical outward appearance, right? And so getting really connected with, what is my inherent value? What do I bring to the table? I tell people all the time that I work with, I'll ask a lot of clients this question and they'll say, I don't know. And sometimes it takes just a little bit of thought. Nobody on the spot can maybe come up with an answer to that question, but I like to start with just letting them know that in the, I don't know, we've been talking for a few minutes now, right? The inherent value that I see in you is your unique experience and interpretation of your events that you have been through in your life, your thoughts, feelings, and opinions about that are unique, right? Nobody else experienced what you did and interpreted those things the way you did. So that alone is a unique inherent value that you bring to any relationship, right? And to yourself, to continue to explore for yourself, right? What does this mean that I think and feel this way about these things that I've been through? How can I use this to connect with and support the people around me, right? And so, yeah, staying connected with our inherent value and then just building from there outwardly.
Yeah, great things. All like, this is great, Stacy.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I love what you're doing. I'm so excited for you. Yeah. I can't wait to see what you're able to do and how many people you're able to continue to support.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm very passionate about it. And I really just, I just want to share as much as possible to help people with wherever they are in their journey, to complement their journey. Yeah, so I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to be here. So thank you.
Awesome. I've got tons of free resources too. So if anybody's interested, I think it's always a good idea to start with a full, thorough self-care assessment. I've got a tool that breaks down self-care assessment into different categories. So it's got social, emotional, physical, spiritual, just to give people a good idea of where you're sitting currently, right? And this might be a complimentary tool that's free. And then also just building from there, like we mentioned before, a dopamine menu. Just like you plan your meals, plan for your dopamine too throughout the day. Feed your brain so that when you're bored, you're not falling back into old habits that maybe you've identified are limits for you, right? Or that's been a coping skill that doesn't serve you well anymore. So I think those are some good places to start.
I love that dopamine menu, because that is like a new way that you can start building those new pathways in your brain, right? To the better habits. Because just like you can learn or get in the habit of doing things that are not the healthiest or best way for you to do them, you can just redirect that, right? So yeah, awesome. I love that. I've never heard that term before. I love that so much.
Good.
And Stacy, tell everyone where they can contact you if they would like to.
Yeah, I'm a licensed clinician in the state of Florida. Happy to take on any new clients you are interested. It's a bit of a wait list right now, but I would meet with you as soon as possible. And my website is wealthinwellness.org. So we find our wealth in our wellness, wealthinwellness.org. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And again, I'm Andrea Fenton. You can find me on Instagram at agfenton. And if you send me a message, we can set up a free consultation. I would love to work with you. And please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I do want to end on just one quote that I love from Esther Perel, who's a Belgian psychotherapist. I love her work. She said, self-esteem is the ability to see yourself as a flawed individual and still hold yourself in high regard.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.
We'll see you soon.